The door swung open with a creak that echoed like a gunshot in the empty apartment, and there she was, my husband's lover, standing in the threshold with a smile that dripped honeyed poison. Her dark hair cascaded like a veil over one eye, and in that instant, as her gaze locked onto Mark's, I saw the flicker of recognition, the subtle twitch of her lips that screamed intimacy. My stomach plummeted, a cold fist twisting in my gut. I stood there, frozen, the real estate brochure crumpling in my fist as rage ignited in my chest like wildfire. How dare she? How dare he? But I said nothing. I kept quiet and pretended, my face a mask of polite interest, while inside, the world shattered into jagged shards of betrayal. We'd come to view the apartment on a crisp autumn afternoon, the kind where the leaves crunch underfoot like brittle bones. Mark had insisted on this place. Overpriced in a trendy neighborhood I hated, sold by some foreign owner who'd listed it through an anonymous agent. "It's a steal, Elena," he'd said that morning over coffee, his eyes avoiding mine as he scrolled through his phone. Now I knew why. Her name was Sofia, or at least that's what the listing said. Bulgarian, with an accent that wrapped around words like silk around a knife. She extended a manicured hand to Mark first, her fingers lingering a fraction too long on his palm. "Welcome," she purred, her voice low and throaty. "I've been expecting you." I forced a smile, my lips stretching tight over clenched teeth. Heartbreak clawed at my throat, but I swallowed it down, letting resentment simmer beneath the surface. How long had this been going on? Weeks. Months. The signs had been there. Late nights at the office, mysterious texts that made him smirk in the dark, the faint scent of jasmine on his collars that wasn't mine. Denial had been my shield, a fragile thing now crumbling. As we stepped inside, the apartment unfolded like a stage set for deception. High ceilings, polished hardwood floors that gleamed under the slanted sunlight, walls painted in a soft gray that mocked the storm brewing in my soul. The air smelled of fresh paint and something floral, her perfume no doubt. Mark played the part flawlessly, commenting on the granite countertops, the view of the city skyline through floor-to-ceiling windows. "This kitchen is perfect for entertaining," he said, his hand brushing Sophia's arm as he gestured. She laughed, a sound like tinkling glass, and I wanted to shatter it. Humiliation burned in my cheeks. I felt like a spectator in my own marriage, invisible and discarded. Inside, fantasies swirled, grabbing a vase from the mantel and hurling it at them, screaming the truth until the neighbors called the cops. But no. I kept quiet, nodding along, my mind racing ahead to darker paths. Revenge. The word tasted bitter, seductive. What form would it take? Something quiet, calculated, that would leave them both reeling. As Sophia led us through the rooms, her heels clicking like a countdown, I pieced together the puzzle. The master bedroom was lavish, with a king-sized bed draped in silk sheets that whispered of stolen afternoons. "The owner rarely uses it," she lied smoothly, her eyes darting to Mark. He cleared his throat, avoiding my gaze. Guilt flickered across his face, brief as a shadow, but I caught it. Obsession took root then, a thorny vine wrapping around my heart. I imagined them here, tangled in those sheets, her laughter echoing off these walls while I sat at home, wondering where he was. The thought fueled my anger, turning it from a spark to a blaze. But doubt crept in too. Was I overreacting? A glance, a touch. Could it be nothing? Well, the evidence was etched in their every interaction, a silent language I wasn't meant to understand. We paused in the living room, where a grand piano sat by the window, its keys dusty from disuse. Sophia ran her fingers over them, producing a discordant note that hung in the air. "Do you play?" she asked Mark, her tone intimate, as if I weren't there. He chuckled, that easy laugh I'd once loved. "A little. Elena's the musician in the family." He finally acknowledged me, but it felt like an afterthought, a crumb tossed to a starving dog. Resentment surged, hot and unrelenting. I wanted to scream, to demand answers, but instead I smiled faintly. "Not anymore," I murmured, my voice steady despite the tremor in my hands. The moral conflict gnawed at me. Should I confront them now or bide my time? Patience, I told myself. Let them think they're safe. The tour dragged on, each room a fresh wound. In the bathroom, with its marble vanity and clawfoot tub, I caught my reflection in the mirror. Pale, eyes shadowed with pain. Who was this woman staring back? Not the Elena who'd married Mark 10 years ago, full of dreams and trust. That version of me had died somewhere between the foyer and here. Now, cold resolve began to form, a steel core amid the chaos of emotions. I'd planned something exquisite, a revenge that mirrored the depth of their betrayal. Not violence that was too crude, too traceable. Something psychological that would unravel them from the inside. As we wrapped up, Sophia handed Mark the paperwork, her fingers brushing his again. If you have any questions, call me any time. The implication hung heavy, a veiled invitation. He nodded, pocketing her card with a casualness that screamed familiarity. Outside, as we walked to the car, the wind whipped leaves around us like confetti from a ruined party. Mark squeezed my hand. What do you think? It's got potential, right? His voice was light, but I heard the undercurrent of anxiety. Did he suspect I knew? I squeezed back, harder than necessary. It's perfect, I said, my tone laced with hidden venom. Inside, the obsession grew. That night, as he slept beside me, his breathing even and untroubled, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Heartbreak twisted into something sharper. Resolve. I'd dig into her life, uncover every secret. Sophia wasn't just a fling. She was the architect of my ruin. But I'd rebuild on the ashes of theirs. The next morning dawned gray and oppressive, the sky a bruise over the city. Mark left for work early, kissing my forehead with feigned affection. As soon as the door clicked shut, I sprang into action. My laptop screen glowed in the dim kitchen, the cursor blinking like a heartbeat. I started with public records. Sophia Petrova, 32, immigrated 5 years ago. A quick social media dive revealed more. Photos of her in exotic locales, always alone, her smiles enigmatic. But one post caught my eye. A tagged photo with Mark from a business conference last month. They stood too close, his arm around her waist. Humiliation flooded me anew, tears stinging my eyes. I wiped them away, channeling the pain into focus. Doubt whispered, maybe it's innocent. Friends. No, the intimacy was palpable. I imagined confronting him, watching his face crumple in denial. Then admission. The fantasy brought a twisted satisfaction, but it wasn't enough. Revenge needed to be surgical, leaving scars they couldn't hide. I thought of exposing them, anonymous tips to her employer, or worse, to immigration if her visa was shaky. Moral conflict reared up. Was I becoming the monster? Guilt nipped at my heels, but resentment drowned it out. He'd humiliated me. I'd return the favor tenfold. Days blurred into a haze of quiet investigation. I followed Sophia one evening, my car idling 2 blocks from her office. She emerged in a red coat, vibrant against the dusk, hailing a cab. I tailed her to a cafe, watching from across the street as Mark joined her, their heads bent close over coffee. Laughter floated through the window, slicing into me. Anger boiled over. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles whitened. That night, back home, I cooked dinner with mechanical precision, the knife chopping vegetables like a guillotine. How was your day? I asked Mark, my voice honey-sweet. Fine. Busy. He avoided my eyes, forking pasta without tasting it. Tension crackled between us, unspoken accusations hanging like smoke. I probed gently. That apartment, do you know the owner well? He froze, fork midway to his mouth. What? No, why? His defensiveness was a confession. Inside, I reveled in the power shift. He was scared. But as weeks passed, my planning deepened. I hacked into his email. Child's play with his predictable passwords, uncovering a trove of messages. Can't wait to see you in our place, one from Sophia read. Our place. The apartment was their nest, funded by his lies. Heartbreak morphed into obsession. I printed the emails, stashing them in a hidden drawer. Fantasies evolved. Not just exposure but ruin. I'd buy the apartment myself under a false name, then evict her dreams. Or forge documents to sabotage the sale, leaving them both penniless and exposed. But fear crept in. What if it backfired? What if he left me for her? The thought paralyzed me, guilt warring with resolve. Was revenge worth my soul? Yet every memory of their touches fueled me. Subtle hints emerged in our daily life. Mark's growing paranoia, checking his phone obsessively, snapping at small things. I played innocent, dropping veiled comments that made him squirm. That Sophia seemed nice. Familiar almost. His pallor was my reward. One rainy night, as thunder rattled the windows, I confronted the mirror again. "Who are you?" I whispered. The answer came cold and clear. A woman reborn in fire. The pursuit had begun. There was no turning back. The envelope arrived on a Tuesday, slipped under our door like a serpent in the grass. Mark picked it up first, his face draining of color as he tore it open. Inside, photos, grainy but damning. Him and Sophia in a hotel lobby, lips locked. Another of them in the apartment, her hand on his chest. "What the hell?" he muttered, crumpling them in his fist. I feigned shock, my heart pounding with a mix of triumph and terror. "Mark, what's wrong?" He shoved them away, but I glimpsed the anonymous note. "She knows. End it, or everyone does." Obsession had led me here, to this calculated strike, mailed from a distant post office. Revenge tasted sweet, but guilt lingered like afterburn. He paced the living room, the floorboards creaking under his weight. "It's nothing, Elena. A prank." His voice cracked, betrayal's echo turning on him. I watched, my expression a masterpiece of concern, while inside resentment danced. How does it feel, I thought, to squirm under suspicion? The slow burn had ignited. Now the flames licked higher. That night, he barely slept, tossing beside me. His phone buzzing with frantic texts I knew were from her. I lay still, breathing evenly, my mind a whirlwind of plans. This was just the beginning, a warning shot to fray their nerves. Sophia called the next day. I answered his phone while he showered, her voice sharp with panic. "Mark, we need to talk." I hung up without a word, deleting the call log. Petty, perhaps, but each act chipped at their facade. Moral conflict surged. Was I enjoying this too much? The power intoxicated, but doubt shadowed it. What if he confessed, begged forgiveness? Could I forgive? Well, the humiliation was etched too deep, a scar that throbbed with every heartbeat. I escalated subtly, planting seeds of discord. An anonymous email to Sophia's real estate firm, hinting at unethical conduct, selling properties to lovers. Her response was swift. I watched from afar as she argued with her boss outside the office, her gestures frantic. Mark grew distant, snapping at me over dinner. "Why are you so quiet lately?" he demanded, fork clattering. I met his eyes, letting a flicker of rage show. "Maybe I'm just observant." The air thickened with unspoken truths, suspense coiling like a spring. Inner turmoil peaked one evening as I rifled through his drawer, finding a hidden burner phone. Messages poured out. "She's on to us," from him. "We have to stop," from her. But beneath, older ones revealed depths I'd missed. Sophia pressuring him for money, threatening exposure if he didn't leave me. Layered motivations unveiled. She wasn't just a mistress. She was a manipulator, using him to fund her visa extensions, her lavish life. Mark, the fool, had fallen into her web. His guilt compounded by fear of losing everything. My anger softened toward him fractionally. Not forgiveness, but understanding. He was weak, not evil. But her. Pure venom. Resolve hardened. I target her directly. Using a fake account, I befriended her online, posing as a potential buyer. We met for coffee, her guard down, eyes darting nervously. "The market's tough," she said, stirring her latte with manic energy. I nodded sympathetically. slipping in questions that made her squirm. Ever mix business with pleasure? Her laugh was forced, brittle. Dialogue revealed her cracks. Life's complicated. Sometimes you take what you can. Suppressed rage boiled in me. I wanted to lunge across the table, but I smiled. Indeed. Back home, Mark confronted me that night, the photos clutched in his hand. Did you do this? His voice trembled, a mix of fury and plea. Tension peaked, the room charged like before a storm. Do what? I asked innocently, heartbeat thundering. He advanced, face twisted. Don't play games, Elena. I know it's you. Denial crumbled. I laughed, a sound raw and unhinged. And if it is? After what you've done? Words tumbled out. Accusations, tears, the heartbreak I'd buried. He crumpled, admitting everything. 6 months started as a flirtation, spiraled into obsession. I'm sorry, he sobbed. She manipulated me. Guilt washed over me then, seeing his broken form. Was revenge worth this wreckage? But resentment won. He'd chosen her over us. Sorry isn't enough, I whispered, turning away. That night, as he slept fitfully on the couch, I finalized the plan. Poetic justice. I'd expose her fraud, forged documents in her immigration file, tipped anonymously to authorities. Research had uncovered it. She wasn't just foreign, but illegally extended, using Mark's money to bribe officials. The climax came swiftly. I sent the tip from a library computer, heart racing. Days later, sirens wailed outside her apartment. Our almost home. Immigration agents swarmed, hauling her out in cuffs. Mark watched the news in horror, piecing it together. You did this, he accused, eyes wide with shock. I didn't deny it. She destroyed us. Now she's gone. The twist unfolded. In her desperation, Sophia called him one last time, confessing she'd never loved him. Only his wallet. But the real shock. A hidden recording I'd planted, capturing her admission of using multiple men, including a rival agent who'd tipped me off unknowingly. Mark left that night, suitcase in hand. His face a mask of defeat. You're no better than her, he muttered. The door slammed, echoing my hollow victory. Alone, I stared at the empty apartment listing on my screen. Now mine, bought under a shell name. Revenge's aftermath. Cold, echoing silence. Heartbreak lingered, but so did resolve. I'd won, but at what cost? The moral gray enveloped me. Justice felt like ashes. Yet in the quiet, a twisted peace settled. Betrayal birthed a new me. Unbroken, unforgiving.